Teachers of Reddit, how have you secretly rewarded or punished a student? Had a kid who was working a job late into the night in order to help his family while trying to finish his senior year in high school. His dad had been laid off and his mother was disabled, so they were barely making it. He told me that he worked late into the night and he had to miss days of school too. He did the best he could in my class but just couldn't pass after missing so much class. He was a senior and a good kid who needed my English class to pass. Figuring that the kid's life was already hard enough, and that his family was struggling enough, I secretly added some points to assignments he hadn't done so that his final grade went from a 50% to a 61%, just enough to pass and graduate. I don't like giving away grades, and I never told him. He just thought he had passed. I took a kid's phone because he was playing Clash of Clans and then lost a bunch of battles for him. I took a kid's phone today because he was on it during a lab. I started playing Flappy Bird and beat his high score. I am a lady music teacher. A local music store was going out of business where a lot of students rented band orchestra instruments. I had a student who has a serious lifelong disability, but she still participated in many things and is an outstanding student and person in general. She went through some scary medical things, but never complains, and is so genuinely happy. Her family is blue-collar hardworking, but I knew her medical expenses were a constant in her family's life. The store was offering a discount, plus their normal rent-to-own discount, for students who had instruments to outright purchase them before they closed for good. I contacted them, and they let me pay the remaining cost of her instrument, and kept my identity a secret. I teach a high school elective course, aka not as important as English or math, and I had a class that was 23 boys and 2 girls. If you are a teacher, you know this is a terrible, terrible setup. Teenage boys are definitely pack animals and are constantly in a struggle to establish their hierarchy, especially if females are limited. Anyways, these guys were a constant ball of energy and were always doing stupid guy stuff. They went through a phase where they cup-checked each other. This went on for weeks. Little Johnny in the back would walk up to sharpen his pencil. Bam! Cup check. So one day in class on student, I'll call him Travis, asked to go to the restroom. I gave him the pass and sent him on his way. The rest of the class was quietly working when another boy in the back yelled out, "Oh my God! Travis just texted me a picture of his balls." Now I know how these guys have acted all semester, and I also know the zero-tolerance mess that school systems deal with. I knew this could end up very, very badly if it was dealt with by administration. Immediately got the kid to delete the text, calmed the riotous laughter going on, and somehow managed to get them all back on task. But Travis wasn't back yet, and I sure as hell wasn't going to let him smugly get away with this. So I called his mom and had her on hold. Told her that Travis had done something that I did not approve of, but I felt it best if he would explain his actions to her instead of me. On a side note, I teach animal anatomy, so terms like testicle, scrotum, etc. are common vocabulary. So in walks Travis with this shit-eating grin on his face. He thinks he has succeeded until I casually look up from my desk and let him know his mom is on the phone. There in front of the entire class he had to explain that he had just taken a picture of his testicles and sent it via text to his buddy in class. You could literally hear mom screaming through the phone. Once he finished, I spoke with her and told her that I felt the situation would be best handled by her and thanked her for her time. That day I won. I used to always show up late for my 10th grade science class. One day, we had a little chapter review quiz at the start of class, and naturally, I am a minute or two late. So I walk over to my desk, and the teacher hands me my quiz. It's all really advanced questions comprised of polysyllabic biology jargon that I've never seen. Question after question is material that I'm pretty confident we have never ever covered in the class. After about 2 minutes, I look up to see how everyone else is doing on their quiz. Everybody was watching me, and when I looked up, they all started laughing. The teacher had printed up a single fake quiz with super complicated biology questions just to fuck with whatever kid ended up showing up last to the quiz. Ms. Cohen, you were a fun teacher. Thumbs up. Reminds me of my first math test in 7th grade, kind of. The teacher passed out a test and said to read the instructions carefully. The test was filled with like algebra level math, at least. This class was one level below that, called pre-algebra. Well, long story short, the instructions were pretty normal. But then it said something along the lines of, fill out the name, class, and date. Circle random answers and write down numbers to make it look like you're working. Around time, get up and put it on my desk. Me and someone else were the only ones who followed the directions. And in the next class we got a king-sized candy bar and a wrong answer pass, which was pretty cool. It was basically a ticket we could staple to our next test and allow 3 wrong answers to be counted as correct, so long as we attempted to do the work and such. I assigned a very high point value project to my HS Chem class. A bright, popular student turned in a half-ass effort. I knew she knew that she half-assed it, and I knew she had a conscience. So I handed her my grade book and told her to fill in her own grade. I said, whatever you write will be your grade, no questions asked. It was fun watching her squirm for 10 minutes, begging me to make the choice for her. Well, what did she put? She gave herself a C+, which is what I would have given her. I think she learned more from my punishment than the assignment. I have a student this year who makes my life hell. She is blatantly disrespectful, nasty to me and classmates, and thinks I'm her personal waitress. Part of this is that every day she tries to hand me her work when I'm running around the room getting class started, but she does it in this manner that implies I'm her maid. I tell her every day to get up and put it in the turn-in box like everyone else. She bitches and whines until some other classmate does it for her. Thursday she left her extra credit, 2 points on her test, not that much, on her desk like it was my job to go get it after class. I threw it away. I'm not sure this is punishment, as much as expecting her to follow directions, but I can't honestly say I would have done the same to other students. Small, petty justice, but I did it nonetheless. I work at a preschool, and if one kid decides he's not gonna do something like clean up the toys they got out, then they can sit there forever until they do it. I would have done the exact same thing as you. Where's my extra credit? Oh, you didn't turn it in, so you don't get it. By Felicia. If a student can dance on an essay where they obviously have no idea what they're talking about, I'll give them some credit for the attempt. For example, I ask you to discuss 3 major causes of the French Revolution, causes we covered in class. You don't know them, but in the essay, you try to extrapolate some possible causes using information you do know or attempt to morph the question into a topic you're prepared to discuss. I call that dancing because a good performance can be moving, and a poor performance is laughable. I've gone as high as 75% credit for a good dance. I may show it demonstrates a better mastery of the material than actually parroting back what I've been talking about for the last 4 weeks. When I am doing final grades, if a good student is really close to a higher grade, I round it up. If they've misbehaved, it stays where it is. I've added points to students who were on the cusp of failing or would get letter grade improvements. If they were behaviorally or socially good people, I feel it's worth rewarding people who try hard or have good character as much as it is worth rewarding content. Obligatory. I'm not a teacher, but back in 4th grade I was yelling swear words in class. Little idiot me thought swearing was cool and all that, and got the teacher real mad. He then dragged me to the office and began lecturing me, half pissed off. A few moments in, another teacher who liked me asked him if she could take over and handle the problem for him, and so I went with her afterwards. After a simple, "Don't do this again, okay?" she let me play RuneScape on her computer for the rest of the period. I also helped her create an account. I was the student in this case. At the very start of 10th grade, my mother was in a motorcycle accident where she should have died. Ended up in ICU, various hospitals, etc. for over a year. Meanwhile, I have arthritis, so I get sick easily, psoriatic, genetic. During the 3rd term, I was sick for a week, on top of already being behind from getting 2 hours a night to work on assignments because I went to visit my mom daily. I go to my European history teacher to explain it, and he immediately dismissed all my missing homework assignments for the term because he knew I was an excellent student who didn't deserve a poor grade for this. His words, not mine. I owe that man my 1B+ from that year, and he's been a major reason that I'm so motivated to do well for the rest of my high school career, along with my mom still being around. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.